Hail and well met friends, Andang here. Very excited about this video. We are going to be reacting to a letter from executive producer Aaron Campbell from July 2014. Just came out today, the launch day for update 14. And basically the letter, the first half of the letter just covers kind of what is coming out today with Paths of the Dead, Dol Amroth, Dead Marshes, that sort of thing. The fact that they've made some epic battle changes, and the Essence system is introduced. But the main portion that we'll be talking about for the next half hour or so is the changes and plan for 2014, the rest of the year. And there are some pretty interesting things here, and they've been listening to players, it does seem. And to join me in this talk today, I have Ethelros.
Hey.
Hey there, Ethelros. We have Brax.
Hello, LOTRO.
And we have Sithrith.
Hello.
Alright, so let's go ahead and dive right into it. So, changes from the plan. We've been making changes based on your feedback. First, we will no longer plan to raise the level cap a second time this year. You clearly said that you want the time to invest in your characters and your gear, and we're listening. What do you guys think?
I think you pretty much summed it up there. People seem to generally want time to invest in characters and gear. And having 2 level cap raises in this same year is kind of... There's not much time to just sit around and do your stuff.
Yeah, but if we would have had an expansion this year, it would have been the same amount.
Yeah, because we got 10 levels last year.
Mm-hmm.
This would actually be better because then there's like a buffer zone between the two sets of 5 levels.
Yeah, I'm actually, I can see how a lot of people would really like this. I know a lot of people were asking for it. But I actually don't like this, not necessarily for myself, because I'll be playing through all the content, but I know a lot of players don't play through content unless there is that level progression to go, and some of them save the content until the next like big update happens when they can, advance their character again. Some of them just move past it, and so I'm wondering if Turbine's hurting themselves financially actually by making that kind of a decision where there won't be as many people buying the zone because it might get overlooked now. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, I know I'll still be going through the content, but I definitely would be more inclined to do it if there were level increases. Like I remember with Wildemore, which was the most recent big zone, or bigger zone, with quests and everything where we didn't get a level cap raise. I know I personally kind of lost motivation halfway through the zone to quests. Like the quests were fine, but not having that leveling incentive kind of made me not feel as inclined to keep doing it. And I know a lot of other people feel the same way, so it's definitely a problem for some people.
I think not having some sort of visible character progression when you're going through these sort of like interim zones is a definite problem. But from what one of the producers responded, actually, responded to this sort of question, and pretty much he said that that there are a lot of interesting ways to design content without leveling, and apparently he's seen a part of what the devs have planned for it, and according to him, it's very promising. So they seem to have some ideas of maybe having some sort of horizontal character progression.
That's actually pretty interesting. I'm interested to see what they come up with.
Yep, me too.
Wicked Wolf.
About the progression.
Yeah, Wicked Wolf from the chat says the biggest reason a level increase is tough is because of the LI issue. If they are fixing the LI issue, it seems strange to not still have a level cap increase. What do you guys think?
Well, I think you kind of have to take. Now we haven't moved on to any of the other points in the post yet, but you have to take some of the other things they're doing into consideration. They're going to divert some of their resources to doing some other things that we're going to talk about later, which means they're probably not going to have as much time to work on some of the things that go along with increasing the level cap another 5 levels.
Yeah.
That's a good
So
point.
again, there's some give and take there, and it's kind of a whole. They made these decisions together. They didn't make them in a vacuum.
Yeah, and I think while LIs is a big problem issue of raising level caps, it's not the only one. I think a major case is gear, especially stuff that you kind of need to work towards, like reputation or bartering from whatever content you're doing. So I think
Yeah, but
if, like, say, people were getting stuff from this level cap content or the next level cap content, having only 3 months to use it, or even less than that, depending on how long it takes to get it, is going to feel a bit pointless to even bother trying if you're going to be leveling up again so soon.
I mean, that's my thing is, and I think that this is for maybe not a lot of players, but definitely for some players, where without the rating and things like that, you might as well just stick with the gear that you get at the end. Maybe try to improve it a little bit, but I don't think that there's really that much of an incentive to actually like go after that better gear. And so I don't know if that's necessarily so much of a limit for myself. I can definitely see how that could be for other players.
Mm.
All right. Anything else to add on this first point?
No, other than I hope the system they have planned is enough to make it exciting for other people. Not
Yeah.
for me personally, because I can quest through this stuff anyway. It's just, yeah, if more work for their sake than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And Wicked Wolf does say, agreed, I was looking forward to it as well. Their horizontal content and progression will be key. So yeah, it seems he agrees. All right, and second in the producer's letter. Second, we're adding a new system of advancement to your legendary item. At level 100, you'll be able to take a legendary item and specify it as imbued, locking in its current legacies and abilities. From this point forward, the item will earn experience, even through future level caps, but not require you to destruct it to attain a new item. Our goal is to take the early promise of an item that grows with you and fulfill that.
Very early
Yay.
promise.
Yay!
This has been 50 levels in the making. We've been wanting this for literally 50 levels, and
Yeah.
5 or 6 years since Moria came out, essentially, and we realized that especially when they expanded it in Mirkwood, and people got a lot less excited about LIs at that point because it really made it seem, because earlier you could have those level increases where you could increase it to like you had those scroll things to increase them to 60 or whatever, but
Right.
or level 70, I guess. But anyway, this is definitely really good news, and it's something players have been asking for as long as I can remember in the LOTRO community. Athelros, you're probably the biggest critic of the LI system on this show, at least. What do you think about this announcement?
I don't want to get too excited about it now because I think, as you said, it's just something I wanted for pretty much as long as I've experienced the ally system. But while I'm glad that they are kind of addressing the problem of having to constantly remake them, the fact that they're, or at least at this point, they seem to be intending to try it out at level cap, or at least at level 100, doesn't really address the problem of having to constantly remake your allies over and over again from level 50 all the way up. That's about 50
Yeah.
levels worth of grind that this doesn't address at all.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a first step. I mean, I think that if
Right.
this works really well, then, there's at least a chance that they'll be going back to it. At the very least, I'm just happy that at level 100 and moving forward, supposedly, I will be with the same LI and not have to worry about deconstructing it all the time and getting those new legacies and, like, basically creating a whole new weapon every time that there's any type of a level cap increase. And
Right.
that is really good news.
Yeah, and it does make me more inclined to work on my allies for this level cap raise that we're getting right now, at least.
Yeah.
And yeah,
A
as
little
you
bit.
said, it is kind of not set in stone. So I'm hoping that the feedback they get from the Players' Council, as they mentioned, I think they're going through that now, and various other player feedback areas, that they do end up either with the original launch or sometime after it, bring in that imbued status down levels, hopefully to 50 actually.
Yeah, yeah, it'd be very nice. I'm wondering if this is kind of sort of like the Beorning thing, where they don't have time right now to create it throughout the whole system, obviously. But if this works
You
well,
mean the
then
Essence system?
maybe they'll change it, and the Essence system
Yes,
as well.
Beyonding is kind of a different.
Well, I mean, that's the next announcement that we're gonna get to, but they thought they didn't have time to do that, and now it seems they do. So
Hmm.
I'm thinking that it's kind of a similar thing where right now they just don't think they have time to do that whole giant revamp, and they'll probably see what player reactions are to this and move slowly because they've been claiming that they still like the LI system. So, Brax, you've been kind of quiet on this. What do you think?
Well, I'm very happy for a couple of reasons. First of all, I predicted this on LOTRO Players News. Well, let's say I guessed this on LOTRO Players News.
Now you
So not
predicted.
all
Be
of,
confident, Brax. Come on.
not all of my forward predictions are complete crap. So that makes me feel good. Second of all, yeah, I'm kind of with Elthoros. I think that this was definitely needed. It's also needed at a lower level. I'm excited about the prospect of not having to deconstruct my allies anymore and of locking my legacies in. The question that comes to mind is, what does this mean for relics in the future? Are they going to lock your relics and not level those anymore? Because that's the main way you get those is through deconstructing allies. So
Yeah, and
Yeah,
there
but
were
the
a
letter
few.
says it specifies legacies and abilities. I'm not sure exactly what those are, or at least what they're referring to when they say that. So I'm not sure exactly what's locked in and what isn't.
yeah,
Yeah, and there were
Yeah,
a
I know what it
few
means.
questions about that in the chat as well. So it seems like the community is definitely wondering the same thing. I'm wondering though if that XP, basically the fact that you're earning experience all the time, you have to have somewhere to put that experience. So I'm wondering if they are already considering looking into that even more.
I think maybe how they're going to do it is lock the legacies that you have, so you can't change out the legacies, but you can level them up
Level
and
them up.
and
Yeah.
use the scrolls with them and all that.
And that would be the best way to do it, I think. From the current system they have, that'd be the best way to progress.
Because getting the legacies you want is actually pretty easy at this point.
It really is.
Hmm.
I'm wondering if they're still going to have all those other allies that still drop. They might decrease the drop rate a little bit and still have like a
I sure hope
deconstruction
so.
system with that still. It's just you don't have to change your weapon, which would be nice. I could deal with. In fact, I'd actually appreciate having those other allies that you have to deconstruct, as long as I get to keep my weapon and don't have to worry about that, because it's just such a hassle every single time to basically build the exact same weapon, just 10 levels higher.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All
Especially
right.
with how legacies work, some classes need specific legacies in order to be usable, basically.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the because they definitely ramp up the difficulty around level 50. So some classes definitely need certain ally skills, or they're going to, or legacies, or they're going to have issues.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else to add on the allies?
Nope.
All right. And back to the producer's letter. Third, the Browning class will start at level 1 rather than level 50. And Deng was right. Okay, so it doesn't say that. The class will be able to level fully through the early areas of Eriador and will include its own starting experience.
I am
It's
so
actually
happy
more
about
than you
this.
predicted.
I
It's
predicted it'd be
both
at
of the
least
things that
one.
I was
It ended
hoping.
up being both.
Yeah,
Ah, man, I am so
I am
excited
so
now.
excited about this.
Its own starting experience, leveling it from 1. I'm gonna create a Bjorning today. I'm gonna find a way. Move out of the way,
Go
turbine
make a time
security
machine.
guards. I am on my way.
Yeah, like pretty much remember in news the other day when we were talking about that poll, it's like, oh, how much would you pay for Bjorning? And I was like, I'd only pay 1,000 turbine points because based on the news we have now, I'd pay like 2,000 now at this point because that's totally worth it. Like starting at level 50 and just the prospect of just being plopped down in some currently existing zone, I was like, no, that's going to be stupid. I am so excited about this, and I totally, totally want to play Bjorning now. So, good call on them.
I'm curious as to what the starting experience is going to be like what area it's going to be
Well, I
in.
mean,
Yeah.
if you look at the like the hobbits, the way that they do their quest line, where they kind of start out as the same, yeah, they start out in the Shire, but then they teleport over to the same line as the men. And I'm wondering if we're going to start the Beorning out somewhere like off in the Misty Mountains or Mirkwood or something like that, and then they're going to come back and have you start and like arch it and go through all that stuff.
I,
Still,
I was wondering that too because they seem to be very careful to say starting experience and not starter zone.
Yeah, I think it'll be the area where you go from 1 to I think 6 or 7, and then you leave and you go into the
hmm
general landscape, which will probably be Archie.
yeah,
Since
I'm
the
guessing it'll have a similar prologue as the men, but then have the intro as the Beorning
Hmm.
or something along those lines. I don't
Hmm.
know. Maybe they'll have the same prologue as the dwarves.
Yeah.
Seems like it fits them a little bit better.
It probably is worth mentioning that I think the reason I didn't expect them to do this is because they outright said that the reason they're doing this at 50 is so they can put this class out this year instead of having to push it back to next year, which is what it would have taken for this to come at level 1. So I'm wondering if either they've diverted resources, like I think Brax alluded to earlier, or if they've outright just gotten more resources or more manpower to actually be able to pull this off.
I'm thinking that they probably assigned more people to the Beorning. I was surprised when, because like it sounded like on their talk like there was only 2 guys working on it.
Yeah.
Whereas now I'm guessing that they have some of the landscape team working on it, the quest team working on it, and also having these the more people working on the level of the class. And maybe that's why they're not having a level increase, so that our characters won't get those new skills. And they took that team and put them on the Beorning for 1 to 50. I'm guessing that's what happened.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be surprised if that's what happened.
So, any more
It'll be very
thoughts on the Beorning, other than it'll be very interesting?
Probably, yes, I think is something to mention is that the class is meant to be available for testing and feedback after the Dead Marshes update goes live, which I presume is after that update, but before update 15.
Yeah, and I mean they're gonna
Yeah,
have a
so it's
fairly
before-
packed, next couple months because I'm guessing that the intro zone will probably come in September, and since that's about 2 months away, and then or the instance thing, um, and then with the dead marshes, and then 2 months later, in November, I'm guessing we'll get the update 15. And so that's going to put them on a very tight release schedule. They might actually introduce the next like smaller updates sooner, just so they have more time to test the Beorning and things like that on the beta. Because I'd be surprised if they don't try to spend a whole lot of time with community feedback and things like that to try to get it right. Because they've had a lot of bad press, and I think that this is their first new class in so long. They really need to get it right. And so I hope they have plenty of testing time for the new class.
Definitely.
So, with regard to the Bjorning starting at level 1, I think the only way they could make this better, because I'm really happy to hear this, by the way, being an advocate for player choice, I would love to see them sell the Bjorning class with a Gift of the Valar token, if they're going to charge more for it, so that the folks that don't want to go through those early areas could still start at level 50 if they wanted to.
Some sort of bundle deal like that. Could
Yeah, that would be really
Yeah.
cool.
Because there were definitely some people who were excited about the Bjorning because it started at level 50. So it'd be good to have like a vanilla Bjorning that starts at level 1, and then like Bjorning Plus that comes with a Gift of the Valar.
Chocolate Bjorn.
Yeah.
Get your black bear Beorning skin with with the new level 50 start
So
token.
the level 1 is a polar bear.
Oh yeah, clearly.
And then there's Strawberry Bjorning that starts at level 75. It's a pink bear. It's a Care Bear.
So I'm glad Sithith is not on the Beorning design team, and let's continue. Airlog from the chat does say that imagine how busy the beginning zone will be for the first week or so.
Oh, it's going to be packed.
It's going to be bigger. It's going to be more packed than Gondor will be because, I mean, that's going to be pretty insane. I can't even imagine. I'll probably
I'm not
hold
sure
off.
which I'm going to actually end up doing first. That's gonna be a tough
Yeah, I
choice.
mean, Central Gondor sounds amazing. But then there's also the Beorning. That also sounds amazing. I mean, we haven't had a new class in forever. I mean, if we'd been getting a new class every year, I'd be like, well, it's a new one. But, I mean, it's been 5 or 6 years since we've had a new class, so...
it's going to be a tough
Yeah,
choice.
it is a tough
Cheers.
choice. Alright, and the letter does start to finish out saying there are many other areas that we continue to maintain and develop, such as combat balance and PvMP. As always, your feedback is essential to getting it right. Rowan, and he does finish off saying that no Oliphants available. They were too large to put on the ships. I'm actually kind of really disappointed by that.
Yeah.
That's such a big thing in
I'm hoping
both the movies and the books. So
I'm hoping that we do get to see Olivants eventually at some point. I mean, they've talked about taking
Pelennor
us as
Fields,
far
I think,
as
is where they're going to make their debut.
yeah, I'm wondering.
yeah.
I'm wondering if that's actually a good point because I just assumed this was like no Oliphants ever for you, haha. But
You sound like the rest of the community.
yep. But
No
that's
raids,
actually a
no
really
Olivants.
really good point that they could be coming later when we get closer to South Gondor.
Maybe we'll get Olifants when we get the raids again. Oliphant raid.
Please do not tie those two together because that is not nice.
The majority of players do not like Oliphants.
Only 10% of players enjoy Oliphants. So
only
no Oliphants.
only 10% of players enjoy iPhones. Oh man, we're gonna get hate mail. All right. Cladu ZT says any news about the performance update that will make hitching disappear? No, not that I know
I
of.
haven't heard anything about that on the forums either.
No, they haven't really said anything about tech updates lately. I mean, we've had a couple of instances of maintenance lately, but not really any
Nothing to
details
address
on
that, I
what
don't
they were
believe.
doing.
Yeah, and Wicked Wolf does say that he's actually working now and listening from the office. So thank you very much. And
Don't get in trouble.
don't get in trouble. Yeah, keep another tab in front of us. But thanks for listening to us. We also want to point out one of the developers, Production Malfunction, did actually respond to Brigolus, and this is what Brigolus said. One question about the combination of surprises 1 and 2. Without giving any opinion whether I'm personally happy or not with those, isn't it no surprise that 2, improved LI, already neutralizes one of the biggest problems people had with the subject of Surprise 1, another level cap increase? In other words, a second level cap raise was probably much more accepted by the majority, with an announcement that all of the effort put into our LIs the coming 6 months will have been worth it because no completely new grind would have been necessary at 105. And of course, now I am very curious how East Gondor will be kept attractive without level cap raise. I think he means Central Gondor. But for now, I take all of this as positive change and hope for the best. Looking forward to update 14 now. And so production malfunction does not respond. That'd be weird. Well, there are interesting ways to design content without leveling attached to it. I'm personally excited to see what the devs come up with. I've seen one part of that, and it already looks promising. I paraphrase a little bit at the end, but that was something we talked about a little bit before. But what do you guys think? I don't know, just like crazy theories. How could Turbine create some type of content other than like a hype bold or something like that to keep players thinking that they're progressing and having this constant progression? Is it just like the new LI system that is at 100, or is it something beyond that?
I hope it's not a new system of some kind. As long as it's not a new system, they can do whatever.
Well, yeah. I
As
mean,
long as they don't introduce more systems.
I was
If
referring
it's-
more towards the the new way that they're doing LIs. I'm wondering if that's just what he's referring to, or if it's actually more than that.
I'm hoping it's just something kind of specific to that zone, rather than like something that'll stay with you for ages.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good point. It'd be kind of weird to have like 2 progress bars or something like that.
Yeah.
All right.
All I can think of is like some kind of reputation
Esque
thing,
type
but
thing.
yeah,
Mhm.
reputation-esque thing. Mm,
That's all I got.
Yeah,
that's all I've got.
that's
Like,
really all I
it's-
can think
don't
of
know.
too.
I'm thinking of other games, and I know
It's-
that Guild Wars 2 does a lot with achievements, but that's very much like the deed system that we've got. So I'm
Yeah.
not really sure either. I mean, I think that's the $1,000,000 question. If an MMO could figure out how to keep people interested without the level cap increases, everybody would jump on that.
Yeah. Maybe not when
Yeah,
it
it's
starts at
such
level
a vague
100,
statement.
but
Yeah.
It's such a vague statement. It's hard to like extrapolate any kind of ideas from it at
yeah.
this point.
I do like though that he says that there's multiple things and he's just seen one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully they'll have several ways of keeping players interested and actually interested in the new content beyond just the new content. So I'll be there, but hopefully other players that need that level cap or need that level increase will be there. All right, I think that we're almost to a close here. Any final thoughts on the producer's letter? Let's go around and have everybody give their final thoughts. Brax, why don't you start us off?
Sure. Overall, I was very excited to see what they have in the changes from the plan section of this letter. I don't have strong feelings about a level cap increase or a no level cap increase. I used to really be for them because that was the way that I felt like I was progressing. But I do agree with some of the people that it does get to be a grind after a while. And I know a lot of my kid mates were very upset the last time there was a level cap increase with an expansion, which always happens. So I know there's folks out there that don't like to see that happen. So I'm okay with it. Whatever they want to do is fine. But as far as the LI system being tweaked and the Bjorning starting at level 1, I'm head over heels for those changes. I'm really excited to see them listening to the players about those, and especially the Bjorning thing. I think it's going to be much more valuable for people to have that entire experience, even though it's a long way for them to have that entire experience of the game with the character that they create. I think that's really important.
Yeah, and I think having both is really important as well, where there's the starting at the beginning plus you get a starter zone. I think it would have been more important to have the starter zone if it only started at level 50, because then you're just kind of like throwing players in to, fail almost. But it's good that they fix both those problems. Athalros, what are your final thoughts?
Well, the no level cap increase I am okay with. I wouldn't have been too bothered by having it 2 in 1 year with the ally thing taken into account, but not having it I'm okay with too, because me personally I can deal with not having levels even when I'm going through content. But I think the Beyonding is probably, or at least the Beyonding in combination with the ally thing is going to be a big thing for them. If they can get this ally imbuing thing to work down to level 50, in combination with having a brand new class at level 1, that whole experience is going to be so much more fresh and new to people. So
Yeah, and I
they'll
think
never have to deal with having to deconstruct and reconstruct constantly.
Yeah, and I think definitely if they combine the new Beorning in like some bundle deals where it's like, these starter, these early zones in the, 1 to 50 area, bundle it with the Beorning and get like these value packs, I think that they could really do some good pushes on sales and things like that and really help get some new players in the game.
So yeah, I am most hopeful that the ally thing can ends up working out. I'm actually going to probably invest quite a bit into these allies, at least from my main, who's at 95 now. So that hopefully this will be the last time I have to work on them.
In this way, yeah. All right, and Sithrith, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, this was a really good letter. I was kind of trying not to get my hopes up for the letter, but it basically did nearly everything I wanted. The Bjorning was pretty much the biggest thing that I was hoping for to either. I was hoping it would either start at level 1 or get a starter zone, and it did both, like you said, and so that's more than I could have hoped for. So that's really amazing. And yeah, the legendary item thing is pretty good. Like everybody else, pretty much, I am not super fond of the current implementation of the legendary item system, and any attempt for them to decrease all the problems that people currently have with it is good. I mean, even if their imbued thing doesn't end up working out, I feel like they're at least taking steps in the right direction. They're like recognizing the problems with the system, and yeah, I can give or take the level cap increase or not. So, but yeah, everything else is pretty cool.
All right, and
So, thumbs up for me.
all right, a thumbs up from you. And I'm sure Aaron will, treasure that greatly. But so my final thoughts to close us out here. I think that this was a lot of what players needed. Players need to know that Turbine's listening to them. With that rating issue of players feeling like that they're ignored and not being listened to, having all this feedback of, yes, we're doing the LI thing, we're listening to you on the Beornings, we're listening to those that complained about the level cap, we're listening to you guys as well. It makes it seem like that Turbine really is trying to do things for the players. They might not have the resources or the manpower or just the time to do certain types of things in conjunction with the epic battle system, but it is good to know that they are listening to players and adapting their plan for even just this year, let alone who knows how they're adapting for next year. Listening to players and trying to give them what they want, basically. And I think that that is very, very commendable from Aaron. He does seem to really be taking a focus on making Turbine truly powered by the fans. And while they can't necessarily do everything players want all the time, it is good to know that they can do what they did here in this letter. So the update 14 is live right now, so go on those servers and enjoy it to everyone that's listening to this show. And if you are listening to the podcast version that comes later, up next in the lineup of this show will be our normal scheduled programming with Pineleaf as the host and Andang demoted back down because really I'm totally stealing his job right now. But thank you, Pineleaf, for allowing me to do this, even if I kind of stole it from you. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and be sure to join us live for LOTRO Players Adventures at 5 p.m. Eastern every single Saturday, and join us for LOTRO Players News live every single Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, where you get this type of news discussion each and every week. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you again real soon.